Hi, this is Nancy from Peace Coaching Worldwide, and I just thought I would drop in with another quick video. And I ran across a really good quote, and so I wanted to share that with you. The quote is, "You are not what you think you are, but what you think you are." And I thought that was a really quick and succinct way to put this. And so, what it alludes to is that it matters what you think about yourself, what you think about the world, etc. And I'm a big believer in the power of the story that I tell myself. And the truth is that we tell ourselves stories all day long, every day. We call them thoughts, and the story that we tell ourselves, it runs on a tape loop. It's automatic. It keeps going on and on, all day every day when we're awake. And we get so used to that voice in our head telling us all these different things, that we get to a point where we don't even really listen to it, and it's actually telling us some pretty toxic things. Like, it might say things like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm such an idiot. I'm so stupid. I will never get that job. I'll never be able to," on and on and on and on. All kinds of negative things. And one of the things that I might ask sometimes is, if you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself, would you have any friends? And almost universally, the answer to that question is no, because we don't really talk to ourselves all that nicely. And so, like I said, big believer in the story that we tell ourselves. So, what happens if I tell myself a different story? And what story might that be? And how might it be different than the story that I'm already telling myself? And what effect would it have if I were to tell myself that story all the time? Now, this has a pitfall to it, because there is very well-meaning kinds of modalities that might say things like, look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself affirmations. And they do have some inherent value. It's just not much if the story that you're telling yourself in that mirror every morning, that affirmation that you're giving yourself every morning in that mirror, is something that part of you, or most of you, or all of you doesn't believe. And so, to do the deeper work of helping those parts of you that don't believe that story to know why they should believe you when you say it, is very important. I always think about someone that I worked with many, many moons ago, long time ago. And this was a person who wanted to talk with me about body image issues. And this person was objectively overweight, and they wanted to work on all of the emotions that that were connected to being overweight. And I asked them, if because they've said, "I've been to other counselors and it hasn't worked, and can you help me?" And I said, "Okay, well, let's start with, what have other counselors told you that hasn't worked?" And one of them was to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "You're beautiful." And this client said that didn't work. And that's not shocking to me, because um, what I knew from what this person was telling me was that they didn't believe they were beautiful. And so, if you're looking at yourself in the mirror every morning and telling yourself a lie, what those little kid parts inside of you learn about that is that you will lie to them. And that doesn't endear them or ingratiate them to you. In fact, they kind of just are like, "I'm not going to listen to that person because they're a liar." And so, but what happens if you can change that story into something that's the truth, but also not negative, shaming, and derogatory? So it might sound something like this. You say to yourself in the mirror, "My body, this machine, this biological machine that I live in, is an absolute genius machine. It's amazing. It actually will create fat stores on my body to deal with and help me to not pass away from the toxins that I've been feeding it." And it does this without me asking it to, but it does it because it's keeping me alive What an amazing machine I live in. And I did not lie when I said that about anyone, because everyone's body that they live in is an absolutely astoundingly genius machine that is wildly complex, and it takes care of you in ways that we just don't even know how to appreciate. And so what happens when we start telling ourselves that truth, instead of when we look in the mirror every morning saying, I'm so ugly, or I'm so overweight, or whatever that might be. And so we look at the power of telling yourself a different story, and there are, like millions of iterations of that, and how those derogatory stories can be switched into something more positive. You might be able to tell someone, like a little kid, truthfully so, you know what, Johnny, you really stink at math. You can't even get 2 plus 2. What, like, you're terrible at math. Well, how many days of kindergarten is Johnny going to attend before he hates school? But that same teacher could say to Johnny instead, you know what, Johnny, we have some struggles with math, and we're going to keep working on it, and you're going to get it, and that's okay. But I tell you what, you are absolutely amazing at art. You draw the most beautiful and colorful pictures. You're just great at art. Now, how many days before Johnny loves kindergarten? One. And we can do that with ourselves as well every day of our life. And so that's the power of being cognizant and paying attention to the story that we tell ourselves, and making sure that it's a good one. Because how we treat those little kids inside of us directly comes back to us in how we feel. And so there you go, a little food for thought as we head into the holiday season, and hope that this finds you well. If you'd like to book an appointment with me, please check out Peace Coaching Worldwide. And you can leave me a comment in the comments below if you'd like to reach out. Thanks. Bye-bye.